Will Surging Sparks become Generation 9's iconic set? Now, honestly, I couldn't be more grateful to have surpassed 15,000 subscribers, so I would love to gift this incredible special illustration rare Alakazam from Pokemon 151. Now, if I reply to your comment with this specific Sylveon emoji, then well done, you have won this special card. And also, if this is your first time tuning in, my name is Philip and I'm a marketing professional who runs this Pokemon YouTube channel. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. I always love seeing new faces. And of course, all these custom emojis can be accessed with channel memberships. All right, so I'm looking at Surging Sparks. Now, I actually am recovering from one of the worst colds I've ever had in my life, and my voice literally was gone for like nearly 5 days, and it's just recovering a little bit right now, as you can probably tell. But nonetheless, we are looking at Surging Sparks, and I'm actually quite excited to look into this set. Few reasons for Surging Sparks, okay? This feels like, straight up, man, the first set that it's actually competing with the big dogs from Sword and Shield. It really feels like we're now hitting that Fusion Strike, Evolving Skies, Lost Origin territory, right? And I just want to say that a lot of people said, oh, Surging Sparks is very similar to Vivid Voltage. Complete disagree. I think this set has a very unique appeal. Even though it is a Pikachu set, I think this set is a major step up from what we've seen in the Scarlet and Violet era. And I want to take you through that. So right now I'm looking at the booster box. Now, interestingly, I do think the booster box looks great. Whenever you have Pikachu on the box, Pikachu is the mascot, right? So it draws in fans. Kids are going to see it on shelves. They're going to love it. Parents for the Christmas period know exactly who Pikachu is. You know, Pokemon are really strategic when they release these sets. They release a Pikachu collection and a Charizard collection towards the end of the year because Pikachu and Charizard are so well established in the market that parents and, you know, family, friends and everything, they can recognize these Pokemon, so they really help increase the sales. So I think Surging Sparks will be very desired because of this, right? And I'm just looking at the booster packs as well, and I have to say that they look really cool, man. Like the Alolan Exeggutor looks amazing in the booster pack. The Pikachu Terrastalize looks really cool. The Latios looks amazing. And you also do have the Archuludon, which is a new evolution in Generation 9. So, you know, overall, it's a really, really cool set, man. Like, now, moving on to the Elite Trainer box, I think it's a very prominent design. I think the sleeves are really cool, and I love the purple and yellows. I think it looks really unique. I think they actually did a really good job. You know, you do get 9 Surging Sparks packs inside the ETB, with the Pokemon Center version having a little bit more. Though, one thing about this ETB, I do have to really give it props, is the promo card. Man, this Magneton is sensational. Now, obviously, if you're a collector or an investor, you would want to go for the Pokemon Center stamped version. The reason for this is the Pokemon Center stamp has that real unique aura about it. I always say this in my videos, right? The Pokemon Center stamp, it's not exactly a modern first edition stamp, but it's about as close as we can get to it, right? And in terms of longevity, in terms of exclusivity, you really want to get the Pokemon Center stamped promo. But I have to admit, this is probably the best promo card from the Scarlet and Violet era so far. Colors are amazing. Artwork is absolutely sensational. And of course, it is a Shinji Kanda artwork. If you are unaware of Shinji Kanda, he created Giratina V and he created Magikarp illustration rare. And of course, this Magneton artwork is just up there with the incredible designs he is capable of making. Moving on to the illustration rares in the set, and this is what I want to talk about. Now, I think they've done really well with some of these, and there's been some kind of missteps as well. First one I want to talk about is, and I want to just get the missteps out of the way, I think the Flapple and the Appletun lines, these illustration rares, I want to talk about these. I feel like Pokemon's really trying to push it. I mean, with Stellar Crown, we've got Hydrapple. Now in this set, we've got like a full line of illustration rares. Very, very odd choice, I feel, of cards to really push. I mean, we've got so many cards that we could really use illustration rare lines of. You know, you got Salamence, you know, you got Dragapult line as well that's been underutilized in the TCG. So interesting that they're going with, you know, Flapple and Appletun as well. I do like the cards. I think this is a really cool illustration rare for both of them, but I do have to admit, it does feel like it's a little bit forced upon. It doesn't feel that organic. It doesn't feel like the community really wants it. It feels like, hey, Pokemon's more keen to get these in the faces of people. Nonetheless, they are great artworks, but it's an interesting choice for the cards. Moving on to the next one is the illustration rare Castform. Now, this artwork is really cool. Again, Castform is so underutilized in the TCG. It's amazing to see it in an artwork, and I have to admit that this artwork looks amazing. I am really impressed with the composition of this artwork and the fact that it is an illustration rare of Castform, which I don't think we've even had many Castform artworks in the TCG. So it's great that it's getting some representation. I do not think this is going to be a valuable card, but I do think it's a great card to have in a collection. And of course, it is one of those unique Pokemon, and you know, deservingly so. Castform hasn't had a position in the TCG market for quite some time. Now, moving on to the illustration rare Braviary. This is a really cool card, and also Braviary was a really good Pokemon if you play competitive Pokemon. But nonetheless, really, really cool design. It has a really cool feel about it. It is a dragon themed set, or that's kind of what it's been, like Paradise Dragona is. So it's interesting that Braviary made an illustration rare. You would think that they would put more dragons within the set, but nonetheless, it is a cool choice for an illustration rare, and I think it's well deserved. Now, moving on to one of the cards that I think will be quite valuable given how well this card is designed, is the illustration rare Skamory. This card design is absolutely sensational. The artwork is amazing. The composition, how Skamory looks. This is a fantastic illustration rare. I do think that this will be not super expensive like a Magikarp, but I do think it will be very, very highly desired. Given the fact of the color scheme, the metallic look, it looks amazing. I really rate this illustration rare. You know, when we get Skamory Generation 2 Pokemon, they create a lot of demand. And of course, you know, Skamory is quite loved as a Pokemon, but nonetheless, when they actually give it justice in an artwork, it makes it that much better. I think this could have also been a special illustration rare with how amazing the artwork is, but nonetheless, I'll take it as an illustration rare because I think this is absolutely sensational. Interestingly, Latios and Latias both have illustration rare and special illustration rare equivalents. The Latios in particular got an illustration rare. What's really interesting is they actually divided Latios with Latias for having illustration rares and special illustration rares. So as you can see, the Latios got the illustration rare, which is an amazing card artwork. I think that this one will be one of your top most expensive illustration rares in the Scarlet and Violet era. Such a loved Pokemon. We saw what happened with Team Up with the legendary bird, you know, the famous card artwork of that one. That is one of the most expensive Pokemon cards in the world. And of course, now that these two are separated in illustration rares and special illustration rares, it's going to bring a lot of fan demand. Again, very interesting that they separated the two, but nonetheless, I have to say that this illustration rare is fantastic. I absolutely love this artwork. Now, moving on to the special illustration rares of the set, and I think Surging Sparks has done quite well. Man, it is not easy always, you know, outdoing yourself. That's hard to do, but I have to admit that the special illustration rares in this set have really outperformed some of the previous sets, and I want to go take you through some of those. First one on the list is the Lisia special illustration rare. Now, truth be told, I'm not much of a waifu collector. I did make a video talking about the waifu Pokemon crash, and I'm going to link that for you right here, and you can see why waifu cards crash. Now, in terms of Paradise Dragona, this is obviously going to be one of the chase cards. I can imagine this will be a very, very expensive card. Though in terms of the English set, nonetheless, I think that this is a really cool card. The fact that it has Altaria in the background and you've got the Lisia special illustration rare, I think it's a really, really cool artwork, and, you know, great job that they did this. Again, I don't think that this is up there with the Miriam special illustration rare from Scarlet and Violet base, but I really do think that this is a great artwork. Now, moving on to one of my favorite cards in the set, it is the Alolan Exeggutor special Terra type Pokemon with the rainbow borders. This card looks crazy, man. Just what a well-designed card with these Terra type form cards, right? They are so hard to design with the rainbow border, but they really nailed it with Terrapagos in the Stellar Crown. They chose a really good design for that. And with this as well, I feel like they've really thought deeply on the card design to fit with the rainbow border. And I have to admit, this is a sensational card, and I do think it will be very sought after, and expect this to be in the top 3 chase cards of the set. Now, moving on to Archuludon, which is the new kind of evolution in Generation 9 from Archaludon. Amazing, amazing artwork as well. I think this is really cool. I think, you know, seeing that it has some sort of representation in the TCG is cool as well. Do I think that this will be as valuable as some of the other special illustration rares? I personally think that this one will be the most affordable out of the lot, given the fact that I don't think Archuludon carries that much fan demand as something like an Exeggutor would, or something like the next card that I'm about to show you would. Though in terms of this card design, I think it's pretty cool. I think they did a really good job. And look, they didn't obviously choose the best dragon types, but nonetheless, at least there's some cool Generation 9 representation in the set. Though the card that I think will be quite expensive is the Latias special illustration rare. We saw how expensive the Latios and Latias team up card was. So nonetheless, I do think that this is going to be the top chase card of the set, and I think this is going to be very expensive. Dragon type Pokemon, special illustration rare. As I already mentioned, very, very strange that they segmented the two. I think the Latios could have been a special illustration rare as well. So that is a bit of a confusing design kind of point from Pokemon, that why they made one special illustration rare, one illustration rare. Will they do a reverse and make one special illustration rare and one illustration rare in the next set? I'm not sure. But this artwork is amazing, and I do think that this is the top chase card of the set, and I think a lot of people are going to be liking this card. Now, with Surging Sparks, we have some sensational cards in the mix. However, I do wonder how many collectors can keep up with so many new sets entering the scene. We have the Greninja Premium Collection. We have the new Charizard Collection. Now, Stellar Crown is just being released. And we've got the new Eevee set and the new Team Rocket set coming out. It does bring up one question. How do you collect all these sets on a budget? Well, I do answer that question right in this video here. If you're like me and you love collecting cards, but you also understand that they can be very expensive, and feel free to click on that video and learn more about some of the best ways to collect Pokemon cards on a budget and still build a fantastic collection. I'll see you there.